There was a lot going on in that match last night on Blood and Guts, Nick.
Yes, there sure was. So many different pieces. And, this is why I don't let anyone ever know who my girlfriends are, who a close friend is. But I don't post my family on social media because once they find out, they can use that against you, whether it's a bargaining chip or costing you a match at the Blood and Guts while everyone else holds you down. And like it comes down to this last piece where you have to sit there and watch someone you care about. That's why I straight up no feelings, no friends, no people. I don't even use the F word. I, but I thought that story was kind of cool. There's a lot going on, a lot of gross stuff in a cool way. But the first two entrants, I wrote a cool note down that I was excited about it. They used the cage. It's Willow and Sky Blue,
Yep.
and it's letting everyone know there's a couple little things that Vince burned into my brain 20 years ago. You no longer have one ring, you have two rings, and you have a cage. How do you let everyone know right away that this is a different match than the normal time that you would see the two of these opponents together? And what they did something really little that I loved so much. They did a little bit of wrestling and then started to try to use the cage. And Sky Blue tried to bounce Willow's head off it. She blocked it. And then they reversed it and blocked it, reversed it and blocked it. And I go, this is so great. They're letting everyone know that this cage is a bigger deal than normally any kind of match here. And if that happens, because they're already teasing it going back and forth, that it's going to be a bigger moment when someone gets smacked into it. And they teased it a couple more times and eventually did a couple more counters into like a slingshot into it and then a pounce into the cage. And it was all in like 90 seconds. And I go, this is how you tell the story of what the match is, tell the story of that cage, whether you think it is or not, is going to be a bigger factor than hitting a wall or being hit with a chair because of the way they set it up to be and sold it afterwards. And then so I really like that a lot. It's letting everyone know right away. Hey, I'm not sure about the rules. What happens here? It's a big cage with two rings. Oh, okay. That cage is that's metal and deadly. Got it. And even though they went to blood right away off the cage, that was letting everyone know that cage makes a big deal, and that could be the difference in whoever's fighting here. And using that, and then you now switch your offense from just going, oh, I'll do punches here or suplexes or throw you into a wall to where you're actually going. This is another thing. It's a target on you. Like when someone has their ribs wrapped, you have a bloody face, and it's really easy to go, hey, we have to get to our wrestling moves, or I got to set up for the person coming in next. But when you exploit that blood and actually go to it or modify your offense for it, I love that. That shows me you're not doing a regular wrestling match. All these points, so big shout out to Sky Blue and Willow letting everybody know what they're getting themselves into 2 minutes in.
And I thought Sky Blue was one of the MVPs of that match. I mean, she was in there for the entire time and took a beating, like you said, got busted open almost immediately
Yep.
when that match started. And Nick, I think for better or for worse, and I loved what I saw in that match. I mean, if I had to make a choice, I preferred the women's blood and guts match
Yeah.
over the men's blood and guts match, and that's not shying away or giving criticism to the men's blood and guts. I just thought the women did a phenomenal job, and it was
Yeah.
different. You're not used to seeing it, but I also feel like that was a statement from AEW, better or worse. Like, you're not getting this in 2 weeks at
Right.
War Games. What we're doing here tonight is going to be completely different. Like, when your head hits the cage, you're going to get busted open.
Right.
When a kendo stick hits you, it's gonna rip your skin. Like, I thought that was a definitive statement from AEW last night with Blood and Guts.
And they're doing this a couple of weeks before you get the WWE one. I was like, what's the difference going to be? And it'll be easy to be like, say, oh, these guys copied this story or this outliner's generic blueprint, which, by the way, there's only so many generic blueprints you can have before. So people would make that comparison anyway. But you make a great point. You're going to get someone getting pounded into the cage and their face ripped back and forth over the cage, possibly 10 or 12 times, and you're probably not going to see color. You're probably not going to see any blood. And that is the difference in the shows. I've gone over this so many different times. You wanted an alternative to WWE that's still pro wrestling, and that's old school pro wrestling. And it's like, not give a crap about Gatorade and Coca-Cola sponsors. We're giving you old school wrestling. And that stands out. That has always been something that really stood out for me watching the product, knowing that you're going to see something totally different. And another point you made is the first women's one. So I was like, one, they are going to make a statement one way or another, and it's going to be cool to see it because you've never seen one of these. And I was like, and I go, man, I bet there'll be one person. I was called Sky Blue throughout. Like, I think you even posted a picture of her, like drenched, looking like Cactus Jack, drenched in blood, like grinning with it too. And I go, that's awesome. That's old school pro wrestling. And you see that, and I go, man, that'll probably be it, but that'll be a big statement, and the match will be good. And then you got blood everywhere, broken glass. Rena Shafir stomping on broken glass with her bare foot to rub it into her foot before she kicks somebody, and I'm like, holy shit! I'm like, this is an absolute statement, and ending it with a story of like, yes, we did the violence, yes, we did this, yes, the story is there, but finally going, we are going to make our top baby face sit there and watch her best friend or whatever the situation is be tortured until she has to end it. Like, will she do it? Won't she? That's great, because there's so many times you can have all the gore and the blood and craziness, and then you just get to a crazy ending and everything just, you get the bed of nails and broken glass, and then it's just like, that's a finish. I like when there's something there where you give us a moment of no, 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 oh, she has to, and then that's how you get out of your seat. That's where that extra emotion is mixed in with the gore and the different match that you have locked inside that cage. I really liked it. Yes, it was the first one, so there might be a little bias there. That was cool to see it, but you are absolutely, when they were standing there at the end of that night, covered in blood, grinning and gross and broken glass everywhere, you are not going to see that in 2.5 weeks, no matter how good the story is.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that because, I'm sure there's going to be criticism. Oh, where's the psychology? Where's the story?
Right.
You got that. You got that. Like, so, to me as an old school wrestling fan, Nick, yesterday I did my top 10 greatest bloody matches of all time. Like, there are a lot of wrestling fans that are attracted to that style of professional wrestling. And all the matches that I mentioned, it wasn't blood for just blood's sake. It was a story leading in. It was most of them a blow off of a feud. And that's old school as you can get, where when you have the blow off of a feud, going in, it's going to be a bloody battle. You knew going into last night you were going to see blood and a lot of it. But you got a great story. I thought the Shirakawa Tony Storm story was amazing. Like, that's her friend, and they're holding her, kind of like that movie Casino with like when they're holding his brother's getting beaten to death, and they're holding him, making him watch. That I got those kind of vibes watching that, where they put, they're choking her out and they're whipping her with the belt, and like Tony Storm, that's her friend. She loves her.
Yes.
The only way they're going to stop is if she gives up, and she gives up. Like, I think that's tremendous storytelling at the end of that match last night.
Yes, when it reminds you of a good movie scene that you're invested in, that means the emotion is there, and also those. I think it was Bane whipping her with the belt. That was like slapping and thudding into her. And I'm like, this is not those careful shots. This is gonna, like, hey, this is gonna hurt tomorrow, but we're gonna make it the entire ending of the match. And I was like, damn, I go, she was taking, it's not just like, oh, the intent, which is a huge factor of it, but she was getting walloped with the title while already being choked out and stomped with glass and everything else. And that is such a beautiful scene. Like, I hope there's some camera shots of it, like holding Tony and making her watch. She's screaming while you can't see Mina's face because she's being choked and getting crushed. And I really love that emotion. I would even, since we're talking about it Thursday morning quarterbacking it, I would have even made it just a little bit long. Like, I always try and find a way to sports entertainment of it. Like, she's fighting and gets free from one person and starts to crawl towards her and gets like a hand on her foot or her back, like, please, and then gets dragged back in, head snapped back, and go, watch this, and then one more big crash on the back. Like, damn it, I can't take it anymore. When you feel that emotion through TV, that is such a rare thing. I really enjoyed it. It was gross and good in the best possible way.
And listen, it ate up a lot of TV time. Listen, I'm not going to complain that it was on TV because you're getting a pay-per-view quality show on television, which is awesome. But yeah, I think you're right. I think if this was on a pay-per-view, you probably would have gotten a little bit longer drama
Right, right.
leading to the end. Even with the spot with the bed and nails, like Chris Statlander falling, there wasn't that drama of like, is she going to fall? Is she going,
Right.
whoa? And then she doesn't, and whoa, and then she falls on it. You weren't able to really do that and stretch
Right.
that out because there were time constraints.
Right.
And,
Yes.
you had to wait for those intervals of each person coming in. So, but I thought with the time that they had and what they were able to do, I can't give enough praise to the women that started off Blood and Guts last night.
Yeah, then he kicked it off. Did a great job. It was awesome, and that intent. That's another Vince thing burned into my brain, where it's like you tease it, or it's like a Hitchcock thing. Like you see a gun in the first scene, and it's like someone's gonna get, or there's a lit bomb under a table. It's like it's gonna go off, and you're like you don't know if that intent is so big on dragging everyone in. And yes, it was TV, and they had to time things out. And I don't know. I don't have a bad critique of it. I enjoyed it a lot. They made an absolute statement. Just the picture of them all standing together, the heels covered in blood and guts. I went, that's like you need to compare. You need to compare whoever wins the women's WWE one and do a screenshot side by side and go, that's the difference in the two shows. And you can see that as a negative or a positive. I like both. I like those old school magazines. The best photos in those magazines are the guys covered in blood getting held up there, not somebody just not like so we've talked about this in the past where it's like Stone Cold before he tapped out or before he didn't tap out, he went to sleep from Bret Hart. If you take the blood away from his face, it's a great moment. It's awesome. You see it in it. You see he's all the emotions are there. You take that blood away, and it's a little bit different, and it just means just a little bit less. With that blood falling down, you go, oh my God, he's fighting through. Like there's something special there in doses.
Well, let's dive into the men's Blood and Guts match. We see Moxley tapping out again.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then interesting, Moxley's not the last person that came out. Pac was. Also, we saw Pac put Darby Allin through the flaming table. AEW loves fire, man. They love it. They love it. But so it's very interesting to me. Moxley taps out. Pac seems like there might be, I don't know, some leadership issues with the Death Riders. Like they are definitely building towards something with Moxley. So it didn't happen last night, but I feel like, Nick, something is going to happen over the next couple of weeks with Moxley and Pac.
Well, we've been talking for months now that we thought like, okay, when Hangman wins this title, maybe we get a off TV Death Riders, you get a reset, or they break up, or they all beat down Ambrose or Moxley. But you get to a point where you're setting these tiny little, planting these tiny little seeds, and if it is, wow, who's the real leader? And Moxley tapped out, he lost again, and he kind of cost him the match. And I love that forever now we've been talking like, hey, maybe they'll all beat him down, or maybe there'll be a meeting and there's like of no confidence and they all walk out him or something. But I love that they took it this far, and now you just have tiny seeds. And here's the best part. With this, they had a story with Kyle O'Reilly and Moxley, but also you have a moment of Moxley's the guy. We've talked about this for years. He was the go-to MVP. Anytime something went down, he assumed the title or the top spot, and he got him right back on trial. So like I always say, he was like the MVP of the first couple of years. And it was such a big moment. But now you see these tiny, like he can afford to lose a match. And when you're like, who can afford to lose one? Like Kyle O'Reilly, we beat him a lot. He's not, okay, who can afford? Okay, well, Pac, but he's going to do something cool with Darby. And it's like, Moxley can lose and still be the guy that from the crowd when you walk in and go, man, that's a badass dude, and he's their guy. So that helps everybody out. You don't have to give a loss to somebody else. He can afford it. But the best part is they're hopefully starting to have less and less confidence in their leader. He lost the title. He got disqualified because he couldn't win. Now he loses the big match that everyone's building up to. Maybe you have Claudio and Pac just sitting there with their arms folded while he's talking to them, and they just kind of look at him and one by one walk out. But I really, we were blown away that they didn't go right out of this and just break them up or have some kind of a moment when he lost the title. But now, if they plant these seeds and continue it on slowly and slowly, they could eventually walk out on him or beat him down and have him get a well-deserved break from being their guy, and then maybe he shows up and you get a baby face back, or you get some kind of split in their group. Something is going to happen, and like you said, subtle things like Moxley wasn't the last guy out. You would assume he was. He wasn't. And Pac looking to be like, oh, he's doing the most damage. He's constantly murdering Darby one way or another. And I was like, I would like to see if is Marina Shafir going to go, I'm actually the leader here because I'm the one who protected the title more than any of you guys. And I took care of business in the women's match while you guys lost. And there's so many pieces that they can move forward with. And that's another part where you go, hey, there's a bunch of blood and guts and gore, but there's little tiny story pieces that make it that much better.
Yeah, the same thing with Darby Allin. So here's Moxley, quitting to Darby Allin. Like, here's this guy that just won't go away. He's like that fly, that annoying fly. But every time Moxley tries to swat him away, he keeps coming back and getting the best out of Moxley. And then we just see Pac last night taking out Darby Allin. Like Darby Allin's the one with the fire, right? Comes out with the flamethrower, and he set Moxley on fire in that body bag, and here's Pac putting him through a flaming table, and we see Darby Allin flailing on the concrete floor on fire. Like, Pac's just like, dude, I took care of business, where for months you couldn't do it.
Right.
So, listen, I would be okay with Pac being the leader of the Death Riders too. Like, Moxley needs to go away.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that's definitive. Moxley needs to go away. And I think if Moxley goes away, he can come back as one of your biggest baby faces.
Absolutely.
If you do it the right way. And I think it's set up for them to do exactly that.
Yeah, it really seems baby steps. Even if this gets milked out, which I would appreciate, because sometimes that's not always the case with AEW. Sometimes it's like, oh, there's something great here, and 2 weeks later it's over. I really think they could have this to where people are calling for it or begging for it to happen, and you just give it 2 more weeks after that, and then there's the blow up. Or it doesn't always have to be a beat down. It doesn't have to be a betrayal or trying. You can legitimately just have 1 week. He's just talking to Claudio with no audio, and Claudio just kind of looks at him and turns his back and walks away, and you go, that's it. There's just a little more step of like, oh, okay. They don't see him as their true leader anymore because he has let them down. So now we're going to find out who is, or he's going to lose all the confidence of all of them and walk out, and they beat him down eventually, or they just walk out on him, and then he disappears, and he deserves it. Like, I pitched this for years in WWE, like, hey, when people come back from injuries, they blow the roof off because they're beloved and we love them, and nobody ever has an off season, nobody has time off. But in this day and age, you can actually manufacture time off, and it can really help your product to where every couple of months you're getting a new return of who you that you wanted to happen. And whether you fake an injury or you get a real one, you get that refresh and you come back. And Moxley he absolutely deserves to go off TV. I know this sounds crazy to some people because we all want to be on TV every day. He deserves to have that break and then let people come back and go, oh, that's the guy. That's the guy that was our champ. That's the guy that held the show together when anything fell apart. And then he comes back and you got Stone Cold breaking the pull cue at the bar and coming in to beat up WCW and the place losing their mind. So you could really have the Death Riders just kicking ass with a new leader, however it is. And whenever he comes back, boom, right to the top, blowing the roof off when he comes out.
And maybe even with a little side story, we saw Gabe Kidd last night, and the commentators saying, hey, he's not a part of AEW. He's on the New Japan roster. He's like a hired mercenary from Moxley, and that could be part of it too. Like, why do you need to have like this mercenary here as well? He could be a part of that story. So, I mean, I think they are having certain elements that are building to what I think that could be a massive babyface turn for Jon Moxley.
Absolutely. And if they did it in a couple weeks, that's fine too. But man, to watch that happen over a couple of months and then an absolute bloodbath beatdown and disappearance, then you give him some rest and he comes back refreshed and he's your guy.